I was just Midwest goodbyeing it so hard right there.
Whip up. Oh, can I just slide past you and get the ranch?
Yeah. Oh, you're going the same way? You going this way too?
Oh, can I? Is that mayo? Can I get some mayo? I'm going to dip my fries in
some mayo. Oh, I do dip my fries with mayo too. I'm so Midwest.
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean, American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome to the Janchi Show. We are back, you boys, KJ, Nathan, Patrick, coming at you with another episode. Fellas, how you doing?
Good.
I'm sitting on the floor, so make of it what you will.
I was going to say,
do you need a
Patrick,
chair?
Patrick and I have both changed our recording position since having children and getting into houses, and then those children needing to sleep, and we've decided to change recording times. Nathan is just chilling. He's been set up in his perch for a while now, but Patrick and I feel like, are still trying to find the best place to where we can be loud, be energetic, but also not wake our babies up.
Well, I just did a guest spot on the inclusion conversation with former guest and friend of the show, Grace Foster, and
is that like a floor-only situation?
Like 3 times.
Oh,
so
no.
I am now also sitting extremely close to the router. So that is another reason that I'm on the floor tonight.
All right, yeah, fair. You got a hard line in, basically.
I sent my kids to the park, so they have some time. So we have 30 minutes at least of quiet, undisturbed
just
noise.
enough time for a great conversation.
Yeah, sounds good to me. It's great to be here. Great to be back. For those listening, in the time of recording, Liverpool just clinched the Premier League title, so that was pretty exciting. I owe it all to my daughter, who was born before the season started. And I would just like to formally apologize to Liverpool Football Club. We do not have another child planned for the next season, so that may hurt the title chances. Damn. And I just want to apologize.
How dare thee?
Yeah, no, that's on us. That's on us for poor family.
Just for that, you have to tell everybody what Janchi means.
Well, yeah, right. So Janchi means to feast or to celebrate in Korean, and the show exists. We call ourselves the Janchi Show because we're here to feast and to celebrate who we are as people, as adoptees, as Koreans, as just humans on the planet. And also we will feast on some snacks later at the end of the show. There's a couple of things, Nathan, that you've sent us that I've got my eye on. So I'm really quite excited to get into those.
I did get my box. I haven't even opened it yet.
Haven't even opened it.
Oh, wow.
We're going to do a live unboxing.
Yeah. Okay. Guess I should have told you that refrigeration. No, this is not.
You're like, it's all molded.
Yeah, it's all dripping out.
It's all very shelf stable.
There's ice cream in there.
Refrigerate immediately.
It's frozen fish.
Frozen fish. I would be so furious if you sent me fish. That's insulting, I think, if you send somebody's fish in the mail. Anyways.
So anyways, since the last time we've recorded and had a chance to record, there's been some big news that at the time that this episode drops will not really be news, but we wanted to just kind of present some thoughts and feelings on it from our perspectives as three Korean adoptees.
We might as well chime in, right?
Yeah, might as well have something to say. That's kind of the point of the podcast, is having something to say. So there was a New York Times article about the Korean adoption. I don't even know how to say it. Like malpractices, so just human rights atrocities sounds bad, but also like, is that fair to say?
So this is what happened. So like 2 years ago, a group, Korean Adoptee advocate and rights group, submitted like 300, almost 400 individual cases to be investigated by a Truth and Reconciliation Commission that was set up by the Korean government. So they've been doing that. PBS Frontline did a documentary on some of these kind of almost initial findings. They hadn't released any initial findings yet. And then a month ago, as of this recording, they did release those initial findings, and they confirmed that there was widespread fraud and abuse, especially when it comes to like the manipulation and falsification of records. and some other stuff that wasn't so great. And a lot of it facilitated by said Korean government. So that is what these news articles are talking about recently. And that we are now kind of wading into, I guess. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit. I feel like I've just been behind because everybody that I follow has kind of been talking about it in one way, shape, or form, not just Korean adoptees.
Yeah. It definitely felt like big news when it broke. But being a new parent of a baby, I was like, I don't have space to wade into this, but also I have a podcast, so I should probably like make some space to wade into it. But yeah, I think to your point, it's like I feel very behind the times, and there's a link to the full article, the full New York Times article the text has been copied on Reddit. So I'll put a link in the show notes if you haven't had the chance to read it and you don't want to deal with the paywall of New York Times. But yeah, it was interesting reading it and then like trying to sit in it, because I think we've talked about on the show some of the reality of post-Korean War like social services or lack thereof, and like the lack of infrastructure around, obviously a war-torn nation, which like even saying that now feels so anachronistic almost to how I like learned about Korea growing up. Like it was like, there's a Korean War, and then America helped out, and now things are great, but like I get it was a war torn nation, and it still, I guess, in some ways kind of is, because it's literally still split in half. But yeah, so I don't know. It just like it made me really wrestle with all of this. In ways that I think I hadn't had to before. And I think part of that is because I am now a dad. I don't know. Nathan, what are your... I know that you've probably heard a lot about it, especially being as close to Con and all their stuff going on. You're probably the most locked into the adoptee community at this point. What have you heard about it? What are your kind of initial thoughts on it?
Well, I definitely feel that there's a lot of people talking about it, and I know Con has held a few sessions about it, and I know there's going to be probably discussions at this year's Con in Atlanta about it as well. I know a lot of people were surprised, and I think a lot of people were not surprised, and it got a lot of publicity for those that just hadn't heard anything like that, and it's not like it was. I don't know. I mean, it was all of a sudden the traction that it got, everyone started talking about it, but there's a lot of people who had already been involved in adoptee advocacy and news and stuff, who were already like, yeah, this has been going on. We've talked about it. I mean, from the beginning of our show, we've talked about, the need for better systematic, mental health, just tons of things. And so for a lot of us, it kind of wasn't new. It was just sad to hear again. And so, I think that's what needs to happen, though. I think more stories and more, discussions need to happen. And that's what will hopefully bring about change.
I think something that's really interesting about it is reading the headlines and then going back to the 88 Olympics and the headlines that were coming out at that time, because they're really similar, particularly with the use of the word export. Mm-hmm. And because I feel like for each of us, we're kind of close to that era, like we're coming out of it or we're right before it. And you're right, like for a lot of our community, it's not new news. But when it's showing up in like on the front page of the New York Times or in the front pages of all of these large news, like national news outlets, people can't help but take notice. And I do think people are more at this point in time, maybe more like open to being like, oh, okay, yeah, that is kind of fucked up. Yeah. Because I feel like when I talk to people that I know who don't have any in their minds, like connection to adoption or would never think about adoption differently than what the dominant narrative would have them think of it. They're always like, oh my God, I would never think about that. I would have never thought that, and it's just like, I can't help but empathize because I also never thought it for 30 years.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just like, I'm interested to see how other folks kind of continue to talk about it? Because I think that's the other problem, like maybe not a problem, but something I'm interested in is like, how do we continue to make noise about it and not just us be the ones making noise? But I think part of it is like, we have to keep seeing news come out about it. Like the government and the commission have to do their part of it. And like, when the stuff comes out, are we going to still talk about it? Or are we going to say that doesn't really matter? It wasn't as big as the first, round of news. So,
or be shocked about it and just move on later.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be something that continues to like push back on and dismantle or actively dismantle the dominant narrative of adoption? Because that's like what this is playing into. Or is it just going to be like a blip on the adoption timeline of just like adoption's great, and then like one time it was not so great for Korea, and then we talked about it, and then it just went away. But for the most part, we're drawing smiley faces on our hands and stuff. Well, yeah.
And I do know Khan did get an influx of messages from adoptee parents. So there is a lot of parents that were surprised by this story and calling in or writing in to find out information about it and about how to help maybe, or about just wanting to be involved. And so again, the awareness of this topic, I think is good to continue to spread. So.
Yeah. One of our recent solos, real quick, KJ, because I actually want to ask you a question. We talked about, or you asked us, like, how often should we be telling our stories, or we have to tell them again, and you just said, like, this particular news, and we're even like, a month removed, had you feeling like you were thinking about things a little bit differently now. Is that, I don't know, do you feel like you're thinking about your story specifically differently, or is it just like the amorphous thoughts that an adoptee might have?
No, it's not my story necessarily. Although I'm still, maybe I'm still recrafting my story and wanting to move into the adoptee consciousness model as a means of storytelling and those kinds of things. So like just from the quote unquote art of storytelling, I feel like I'm still kind of hammering out what I want that to be like. But no, and this is actually like kind of why I wanted to talk about it on the show is like, and Patrick, you said something that really made it like crystallize in my mind why this impacted me in such a way. It's because it's the New York Times. And for me growing up, like the New York Times was like the publication, and now opinions on the New York Times and its quality and where it sits in the American zeitgeist probably changed in the 30 years that I've been alive. But for me, it like historically has been one of the pinnacles, of like news, just as a whatever person. I'm not a journalism major or anything like that. So my wife would probably have different opinions, but yeah, so like it just feels like a big thing in the same way that I'd always hear like Jerry and other Korean people be like, oh yeah, you've made it when your story gets put into the Korea Times and your Korean parents call you and be like, oh, I saw your story in the newspaper.
I literally just referenced that the other day with somebody.
But it feels like that's that level for us, raised by the whites. That's like what it feels like. And so it does like, we run a pretty niche podcast for a pretty niche topic. So like we're a niche among niches. And so when you see something that directly is about us blasted on the New York Times, maybe blasted is a little bit generous, but appearing in the New York Times, that feels significant. And I think that's what's caused me to really sit and wrestle with it. And so it's not like my story has changed, but I think it's like all of the bits surrounding my story are changing. And I'll show you, I'll give a really concrete example. So born in 93, when so the internet has been around my whole life. And I have always been enamored by the idea that like anyone can find me on the internet. And I very intentionally, and I think I've said this before on the show, I very intentionally crafted my internet presence to be like super findable. Like if you found me, you could find like everything you wanted to know about me, because I was like, maybe some some part of my family will be like, oh, I wonder what happened to that kid that we gave up. That, again, I assume they gave me up to provide a better life for me because I am a special needs adoptee and that, whatever. So I just wanted to, put it out in the world, be like, hey, if you find me, you may never reach out to me, but just know that I'm doing okay. Like my invisible family was always going to be on the other side of the screen, and maybe they very, very American Tale, style somewhere out there. They would see me and know that, that I was okay. And I think that like reading this article and knowing like basically, I don't think it says it exactly, but basically like kids were like just taken from their homes to be orphans, even though they weren't that at all. Like to know that like maybe adoption was never in my future and someone just decided you're an orphan now. That's a really hard pill to swallow. And like, so it's not a story piece, but it is an identity questioner. For sure. It makes me really reconsider because like it's really easy for me to be like, I'm a special needs adoptee, so my family probably gave me up because they couldn't give me the necessary procedures. They wanted me to, almost a classic immigrant American dream story, right? Like came to America for a better life, except it wasn't me and my family, it was just me. And I was okay with that. I've really been okay with that. But reading this and being like, maybe my family could have handled it and I didn't have to be an orphan and I could have been in Korea and been with my biological family. It was just really hard for me to sit with. And I mean, obviously to know that, other babies, that was the case for them, is tough. But like, just personally, like just really caused, a lot of like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Just like kind of that internal monologue and the way that you see yourself, it was really earthquakey. I don't know what the damage is yet, but there was definitely like a happening in my mind and in my soul about who I am and my history, I guess.
Yeah, I just gave a keynote, and when I was doing research, I was thanks. I was looking at my adoption file, and I don't know, this is probably standard, but I noticed something I had never noticed before was that like so in part of my form it says that I was given up for adoption, or I was relinquished because my mother was unwed and my dad had went off and got married to somebody else. She had some sort of like mental health issue, and so that was part of it. And so that was all I had ever. That's like where I stopped, and I have not poured over these documents like with a fine-tooth comb enough, because I noticed a document when I was doing this research that said that my parents had abandoned me, so there was no information on them at all, which I found out was not true when I went to Korea and I went to the agency and they told me that they had the information about my parents. So I'm just like, so to your same point, like the reason I took my file in the first place was because like this was starting to happen. And I was like, oh, who knows? Just like throw it in. And now, so a year later, when these first findings are coming out, I don't know if I've told this story anyways on the podcast. Never mind. I'm not going to go further along that line. But yes, this information and these things coming out has impacted me in kind of a similar way of just like really starting to question something that I never really felt like I was questioning before. Even after going to Korea, not really, and then coming back with this new information, not really feeling like I was questioning that story in the least. And now, like as all of this stuff comes out, like there's a quake. There's that unsettled. Like we've become unsettled in the internal landscape for sure.
I mean, that has to be for everybody that doesn't
100%.
know their biological story, their family hasn't confirmed anything. There has to be this now extra little bit of uncertainty about their records, whatever they may say. and that's good. I think everybody should be questioning these documents, especially after they've admitted that some of them are falsified. I mean, what percentage of them are falsified? I mean, I know my story because I've met my biological family, but my documents were incorrect. And so it actually told me that I had 5 siblings on my document, and actually I had 6. Granted, it's a small minor difference. But it was still like, well, there you go. I mean, why was something as simple as that be incorrect? And it still said things about, poverty or not being able to afford, a comfortable life for me or something like that. So, I think that's where I always it was just more easy to take in when that's what I heard, is like, oh, it's just, it's finances. So I was okay, but I don't think that's the case. I feel like that's a cop out now, because I think that's probably on a majority of the documents out there. So, and if you recall, also our first guest on episode 4, Sujin Pate, there was that story where it wasn't her mom that wanted to relinquish her; it was the uncle, because her dad had passed away. So it was the uncle that pushed for it and essentially put her up for adoption. So maybe there's that kind of a thing, even though it says abandoned. Maybe it was a one-way abandoned. It was only abandoned by the father or an uncle or somebody else in charge, and not
paper
the
orphan.
mother. Yep.
Essentially, yeah.
So.
Well, that's the thing, is like, it is so shocking to people, I think, sometimes when they hear, for not just Korean adoptees, any international adoptee, it's like, oh my gosh, like, you had parents still? Like, that's wild. But then you look at our foster care system here in the United States, and it's essentially the same thing. Like, it is not a good situation where they have parents, but they're just being cycled through homes. You know what I mean?
They're not orphans in the true sense of the word.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point about, like, you brought up the social programs, like in Korea. First off, like, Korea went from quote unquote third world to first world in 30 years, which is pretty unheard of, like, in modern times.
Oh yeah, it's obscene.
Additionally, like, part of that, not only was it like sending kids out for adoption, it was also on the return not investing in your social programs. I'm almost positive the stat is less than 1% of their GDP went to social welfare programs, at least until the 90s. So it's like, when you're not spending money, and you're like, the money that you would spend is just going right back in, and you're now pivoting from mixed race kids to just any kids. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we can make that work. And it's like, that's the fucked up part. Mm-hmm. Like, well, I mean, there's many fucked up parts. like, that's where, like, when you talk about the commodification aspect or the trafficking aspect, like, that's where that comes, for me at least, comes into play.
Yeah, it's just like, especially for a country that, for a culture that, like, as we've learned, having gone through the Korean Culture Dictionary and like all this other stuff, like a country that's so big on filial piety, that's raised on Confucianism, that has like the Jung, like, oh yeah, like, even our last guest, it was like, yeah, I mean, like, there's just the sense of like, we don't need to like stay in communication, because like we're family. We'll just, if you're here in 2 days, in 2 years, like, we're just together, like, I'll just take care of you. Like, to not spend, like, to not literally to not put your money where your mouth is, and like care for your own people like that, is wild. And I get that, like, again, you're recovering from a war, you're doing all, but like, it's just like, I don't understand it. And I think that's the other thing too, is like, I think it was probably really easy for this news to get missed, because there was so much happening in America. And a month ago, and like, and it was just wild. Like, we were all reeling from it. And so, I mean, I had my head in the sand for a number of different reasons, just not the least of which was like, I just need to be a dad, and like have space to be a happy dad for my developing daughter. But it was just like, because of that, I've always thought like, oh, maybe it'd be cool to live in Korea. That's where I'm from. I've always been very proud of being Korean. And I guess this is maybe where some of the other identity shift. I don't know if it necessarily changed my story, but like, you know, growing up, like I always, because my parents were so good at celebrating my Korean ethnicity, I was always very proud of being Korean. I would like root for America and Korea in like the Olympics or a World Cup or, you know, whatever. Like I had this dream about like being a dual citizen and being like living in Korea and doing that whole thing. And now I'm like, do I even want that? You know what I mean? Like it really,
Sure.
and I know like, you know, like you read on the internet and be like, oh yeah, like you can go to different places, but like every country has their problems, you know. But like this is like a very significant problem to me. You know what I mean? Like
I agree, dude. I totally agree.
And so again, it really calls into like, why am I so proud of being Korean? Like, why do I even care about that? Like, what do I like? I've worked really, really so hard, and I've publicly stated like I just want Minji to be like, I don't know. It was just I'm Korean, and we just did some Korean shit sometimes, and whatever. But I'm also American. But I'm like, why am I trying so hard to be part of this country that rejected me, that relinquished me, like by hook or by crook, like just whatever. You know, I don't. So that's just been so really, really rough. And I want to read this quote from the New York Times article. It says, while this is not news to us adoptees, it is a significant victory in the sense that we are finally receiving acknowledgement of what has happened to us over the years, said Anja Peterson, who was sent to Denmark in 1976 under the name of another girl who had died while waiting for adoption, which is just like, again, the idea that babies are just like replaceable and you don't even know, like we're not Barbies, like, and so that was just like, there were just so many things about like reading this article. And I think, to be fair, a lot of it was just like, I made time for this.
Sure.
But like, man, it just like really was a lot to take in. And so on the one hand, I'm grateful that it was published under the New York Times, again, just for the historical, like where that publication sits in American zeitgeist. But goddamn, it was just like, I just wasn't ready for it. And then like, I read it, and a little inside baseball. We were originally going to record this episode like a couple weeks ago, and then our schedules didn't align. And so like, even now, having read it and then not really thought about it and coming back to it, I'm like, I have a lot more thoughts about this than I thought I did when we were getting ready to record the episode the first time.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was just like surprising. I don't know, man. It feels like a very raw reaction.
Well, I think it can't help you but force you to think about that context. Like, the surrounding bits of it. Like, because it's just, it complicates stuff. It might make things clearer for other people. And that's the other thing too. Like, there's over 200,000 of us just out of Korea.
Yep.
Like, and we're dealing with our specific system, and every one of us has our own individual thing that this could either complicate or whatever, and it's just like, yeah. I feel the same way. Just kind of like, I don't know. I also do kind of know, but
yeah,
maybe
you're
it's
like,
only
I don't know
me.
how to put this into words quite yet.
Yeah, because honestly, it's like, it feels so like individual to how I will have to navigate it, that it's like, if I share it, I don't want people to ever misconstrue it as like, oh, this is the advice that I would give, because I don't know that there is advice that you could necessarily give. It's more just like, I'm telling you what I did, not telling you to do that. Like, and I don't even know, like, the way I think about it, how I might define stuff. Like, for me, it feels almost more affirming, because I had been struggling with that connection to Korea in the first place. But then, like, when I think about that, and I think about, and you already alluded to it before, but like, the country's already been split in half. So like, that whole context plays into it. And I don't think we talk about that enough, because the juxtaposition is always the joke of North-South. We don't ever really dig into like why that is. And it's because we're not grew up in the diaspora, and then we're also live here in America, who like nobody cares. So, like, there's so much intergenerational like history, and then that becomes traumatic and passes through in whatever ways. I don't know. And it's like, that's all at play in all of it. And so when big stuff like this comes up, it's just like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to like, and then, I'm a dad. So like, I got a little kid here. I don't Like, let me just process this, go to therapy one time, and then I'm moving on.
One time.
Out of curiosity, have either of your parents seen this and talked to you about it, if they had?
I don't know that. I don't think so. TBH.
Okay.
Yeah, I've specifically not shared it on Facebook because I'm not ready to deal with all those conversations and I'm also here's the reality. I'm not ready to deal with the conversations, and I'm not ready to deal with the lack of conversations.
Ooh. And if it's not out there, you don't have to worry about the lack of said conversation yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shared it with my parents and my sister, I think, actually. And I don't think either of them have seen it. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I know there's a lot of, heartbreak in stories like this. So it's kind of one of those things that I can see why certain people might want to avoid it, to kind of hide from the truth, right?
That's me. I'm the certain people.
Yeah.
Well, because you don't want to ever be like, I'm complicit in this really terrible thing.
Yeah.
I understand that for sure. I totally understand that. Like, so I get it. And
bro,
it's
you want to talk about complicity about a certain thing and talk about like Christianity? Let's go. I don't want to be complicit in this, and you're going to be silent on let's go.
And so like, but that's the thing. It's just like when stuff like this happens and like you're sharing it with like, or I'm sharing it with my parents. It's like, I'm not sharing this to be like personally attacking you. I'm just being like, hey, this is what it is. And it's like, we can talk about it or we cannot talk about it. And, the lack of conversation is probably going to be harder than us sitting down and actually talking about it. And we may not even fucking agree on it, but that's like, you should at least, we're adults now. I'd love to think of us as adults and acting as adults. Like, we should be able to hear each other's story and opinion and be like, okay, if you have a different perspective on it, like, I can respect that, even if my perspective is different. Because it's my lived experience. You have your lived experience, and like they can exist at the same time in the same space, and they both can be valid, But can you be respectful enough to make the space for that? And I think that's the hard thing, is because it's like we make it so personal, in that way. Like, so you're saying I should have never adopted you. Like, that's kind of the reaction I feel like people would give, like adoptive parents. I can see
you're saying I'm a criminal for adopting you?
Exactly.
You're saying I'm a human trafficker for adopting you?
Exactly. Or going the complete opposite way and be like, well, thank God you ended up with us or something. Like some like really just like not thought about, like horribly off-putting like response like that.
Yeah, they could have sent you to Europe.
Saviorism aspect of it. So I can
tough.
empathize on all sides. And also it's just like, we've never been like reciprocated said empathy, because it's just like we've always been placed in a narrative that says you should just be over it or you're fine. And so like news like this doesn't affect you because you're fine. Like, well, I know this guy. I know KJ. He's adopted and he's fine. So like, I don't think this news is going to affect him. Like, I guarantee I have friends who, if they saw that headline and I was just like not around, they'd be like, "Oh, I know somebody's adopted. I bet that he had no problems." I guarantee people that knew me growing up would say something like that in response to this article.
I'm not racist. I had a black president once.
Yeah,
exactly. It's exactly like that.
Yes, the ends does not justify the means, right? So, anyway.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not in a space to respectfully have those conversations or whatever you said. And I okay, here's the other thing. This is my other big reaction / takeaway from this article. America is only mentioned like twice.
Right.
And both times it was just like babies were sent to America, and then Colorado gets a shout out because Mary Bowers, former guest, was quoted there at the end. And it made me so angry that America was not doing anything about this. I was like very grateful to the Korean adoptees internationally, the ones who have been working so hard for this and have been pushing towards this, and all of the efforts of us, of our diasporatic community like making that happen, but it just made me so angry that like America was so silent on it. And I know that like we are fighting for a lot of things just in America that aren't related to this. But like it made me really angry. And to go back to your earlier point about not talked about like the, North, South Korea and all of this stuff, like the level to which globalization and like the global politics of all of this play into it, like make it really difficult for me to say anything to anyone about it, because like I feel like if I was to share this with my parents, then we would probably also I feel like I would need to be able to speak intelligently about like North and South Korea, about the after effects of the Korean War. Feel like I need to be able to speak intelligently about like globalism in America and like how it situated itself as like the friendly big brother and like all that stuff. Like there's just like so much, and especially now as Trump and China are in like a trade war and all this, like there's just so much like on the global scale that affects this. And like I'm not smart enough and informed enough. Maybe I'm smart enough, but I'm definitely not informed enough to like have a conversation at that level. And if I'm not informed enough, like I don't know if my parents are informed enough. I don't know if we have the shared vocabulary to be able to talk about those things effectively enough. Like all that, like there's just so many levels that make a small conversation feel impossible. And I say small as in like, it's probably like 2 hours of your life. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It made me really bummed out about being American. And so again, like just puts you in that place of like, well, where do I belong? Like it just makes you, okay, this is going to sound dramatic, but it makes me feel like I like reading the article, thinking about all of that has come out of it and what it's done to me. I'm just like, am I like spiritually, am I like a global orphan again? Like, do I just belong nowhere because like I just need to reject everything because it's just like not good enough for me? And I know that before we started recording, we were like ratting on like, oh, it's the me show and like miss me with that noise. But also I'm like, okay, but thinking about me for a second, where I guess it makes me wonder like where is safe for me right now?
Sure.
And that's like probably the most unsettling thing, because like the country that I grew up in feels unsafe for me, and the country that I dreamt about that maybe I could live in part-time, whatever, when I was a kid, that felt safe and cool also feels unsafe to me. So now I'm just like, well, where do I go? Like freaking Africa? Like
I feel like I totally resonate with that. And I feel like my approach to this idea of like, not feeling safe anywhere has been to like go micro as possible and just like build community on the micro scale. And like, obviously it starts in my family, but like, I mean, like who, like, just like one, I'm approaching it this way, one, because I'm thinking about it from like a business perspective. And as I've like tried to secure funding from institution here, I've realized like stuff. And so as I continue to do the things that
PC
just realized stuff. Asterisk. It's a big long footnote later.
As I continue to like do community focused work here, I'm like, we are going to do the lowest lift possible stuff, and we are going to try and we're going to build community around that, and we're just going to bring, and we're going to do it that way. And I feel like the more I look outward, and not that I don't like want to have a global perspective on stuff, but the more I look out at just the counties surrounding the county that I live in, it's scary, to like go to any place right now, and it doesn't feel safe. And I feel like, especially thinking about my kid and how I want to make sure they feel safe when they are growing up, and in moments of unsafety, they have a support system and a network that they can fall back on and that will be there for them. God forbid something happen. Like, that's what I want to focus on. And like they think that's what's going to carry us beyond like this large scale, whatever change might happen to the country or even the world over the next 2, 4, 10 years. So yeah, it's like, yeah, child of nowhere, like feeling like I don't know what it is, and it's just like, who can we pull in here and just let's do it here. So
Yeah,
I agree with that too. Yeah, I like what you're saying, and it's kind of how I've done it too, where you just kind of stay within your own little community that you feel safe in for now, and hope that the broader community gets safer slowly, or at some point shows signs of welcoming. Where
hopefully,
so, yes.
Yeah, I just like my struggle with that, and is like I came out of a faith tradition where the whole thing was like, just focus on yourself. It's just you and God. So just like get right with you, get right with God, and everything will be good. And look where that faith tradition has freaking gotten us. And so like that is it's really difficult because part of I've talked to Jason Lee about it on the show, a couple of bonus episodes probably and whatnot, but like part of my own like becoming who I am now is like, but I don't want to just focus on myself. Like it feels irresponsible to, I'm certainly working within my limits. So like realistically, like recording the Janchi Show is the maximum effort that I can put in to anything beyond the micro that is the three human life forms in my house. But it's just like I'm like I feel like I need to be doing something that is at least aware of a broader context, so that's tough. But I just really, that's why I wrestle, I guess, with so much of this, and why I like spin my wheels about it, is because I'm always looking for how can I like 2x, 5x, 10x my impact beyond just myself, and am I thinking intelligently about things beyond just my individual world? Because for me, thinking purely individually or thinking purely on the micro level is where philosophically your thoughts and beliefs may be fine at a micro level, but once you scale that up, it becomes really hurtful to a bunch of other people, and I don't want to perpetuate another hurtful system.
Right.
Just trying to be safe and be okay and do my own thing, And so like for me, it's a direct reaction to where I came from, and so like that's my own like hang up, and why I just like, I don't know. I know like I'm not doing nothing, but it is also like I just need to strategically do nothing for a little bit until I have the time and space to do something. But that's like just a hard pill to swallow, I guess. So that's why I got the show.
The cliche aspect of like you gotta take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. It's that, like, truly. And like the micro, we focus on the micro, we focus on the individual, because that is how we contribute to community and to our larger fabric. And so like we have to tend to our individual thread, and because that thread is a part of a bigger whole. And so like once we get that on lock, we can then work in lockstep and move much better with the people around us, because we know what we're doing. And so we know where we can fit in, and then we can also like be good supports and buffers or whatever the case is with other people around us. And then hopefully in those communities, as we get more macular or macrolar, I don't know what that, if we get more macro, we do that because we can't be all encompassing in our micro communities. Like we have to go out like naturally. It doesn't mean that we are going to be in community with everybody or friends with everybody or whatever the case is, but the only way we can better understand our own individual threads and then therefore take care of the whole tapestry is if we continue to expand our horizons in that way. So,
and we use our individual. No, I like what you're saying on that. It was very, very reminiscent of Loki, though. I was like trying to think of when you said individual threads.
Oh my God of stories.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man, I was thinking Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt.
Oh, yeah, there's one of the songs that I quote all the time. It's Through Heaven's Eyes, but just the line is like, a single thread in a tapestry that its color brightly shines, can never see its purpose in the pattern of the grand design.
Wait, what is that from?
It's from Prince of Egypt.
What's
How
the
can you
song from?
tell what your life is worth by what he builds or buys? You can never see through the eyes of man.
It's such a memory.
Look at your
for
life.
those words.
Look at your life through heaven's eyes. We sing that a lot in our house.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Is it from Aladdin?
yeah.
No, it's from Prince of Egypt. My dude.
Oh my god! How many times is he going to tell you what movie it's from?
Ridiculous. That sounds like we should cut to a food.
Apparently, Patrick has not seen that movie because
Bro.
he's thinking you're actually talking about the Prince of Egypt, I think, and not a movie.
Bro.
So is that a Land Before Time song?
The Prince of Egypt is a banger of a film. You should go watch it.
I don't know that I watched it.
Go watch it.
I'm
Watch
pretty sure you haven't watched it.
Bring Van along. All right. We're going to take a break. Patrick's going to go watch the movie. And then when we get back, we're going to feast on a snack.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. Food time. Sorry, somebody just messaged me right as I was going into that.
I thought you were just like, welcome back to the checks notes. Janchi Show food time.
Sorry. No, a notification popped up right as I was going into that, and I'm like, dang it. Make focus.
Bro, you got to just push through the notification.
I know.
Bring the
Put
pilot
on
back.
Do Not Disturb.
Bring the
Bring the
pilot
pilot
back.
back. We got clear skies heading into the food time.
Hey, I'm happy to be back at food time. I mean, honestly,
I haven't been here in a while.
I know it's true. You finally opened your box and
Finally received his box.
Well, I wasn't here at
And
the
one of-
last conversation.
Yeah, I know. And one of them's already expired. I'm sorry about that, but
actually, I was here with the
These-
last conversation. You didn't get my mail
you
here
didn't get
in
your
time.
mail fast
exactly.
enough. Yes, yeah.
Postal service.
Get
Well,
Doge.
I hope this continues, and I hope I can still send snacks. Because there's a lot of good snacks to try out.
You're
there,
not getting
guys.
voted off the island.
You say, I hope
I'm
this
just letting you know.
continues. Like,
Yeah, he's
the
like,
show.
guys, I hope that you keep me on the show.
I hope
I hope
the
it's been a
snack
good
portion
audition
stays on the
and-
show.
Yeah, it's like the first time you've done this. Like, you're auditioning
Yeah.
for us. Like, you
It's
know,
true.
guys, I hope you like it.
I feel very
hope I can
green
come
right
back
now.
next time.
It's been great. I hope to hear back
how
from you.
I talk about this.
All right. What are we eating, Nathan?
We're eating. I think we're eating popcorn. So this is an interesting one because some of you have had the almonds, but this is HBAF, which is healthy but awesome flavors. They're known for making almonds and a lot of different flavors of almonds and peanuts and other things. I think actually, Patrick, the first time you went to Korea, you came back and you gave us all HBAF
Yes.
sample packs.
Samplers.
And those were very tasty. Yeah, so I loved that, and actually, ever since that moment, I have actually bought bigger bags of HBAF almonds and stuff. So
You gave
I
him
actually
nuts
have-
and he got you nuts.
Have you
Yeah,
been? Were they
I've gone nuts
successfully
over the
bigger?
nuts.
Successfully
Yes, they
bigger
have.
bags, like
Correct.
5 pounds,
Yes.
then 6 pounds, then 10 pounds.
Yes.
Costco
There's some,
size.
There's some really good flavors.
60-pound bag.
But when I was at the store, this is the first time I've ever seen HBAF popcorn, and they had lots of different flavors. And so I sent you all different flavors. And you, Patrick, what flavor do you have?
I have Mexican taco popcorn.
Can you hold it so I can read it? I'm curious what it
Confirmed,
says.
not expired.
No, on the it says Mexican taco,
Oh.
chican taco mat. Huh. All right, maybe that's Mexico. Chican.
Oh, what do you have, KJ?
I have pepperoni pizza popcorn, or as they would read in Korean, pepperoni pizza mat.
So the flavor that I got is New York Cheeseburger popcorn.
New York
Cheeseburger.
cheeseburger mat. What is a New York cheeseburger?
I don't
That's
know.
what I was just about to ask. I'm like, are they known for cheeseburgers?
Like, is that different from like a LA burger
I
or
don't
like
know
a
either.
Chicago burger?
Well, I mean, apparently the onion smash burgers came from Oklahoma, which I didn't know. So I guess there could be regional hamburgers, but
We do have an LA burger here in Dallas. Super good.
Really? I mean, I really love the colors and the vibrant packaging of HBAF. I mean, they do a really good job of that. I think definitely draws you in. Now, will the flavor draw me in?
Whoa.
Whoa, good. Whoa, bad.
Interesting.
I kind of just feel like I dip popcorn into a like pasta sauce.
Similar. My first comment is that this man is clearly holding a bottle of Tabasco sauce, but it's labeled Mexican taco sauce.
Nice.
But it tastes like that it has just been dipped in a bottle of mild hot sauce. That's basically all it is, just spicy popcorn.
Interesting.
I have a mini Statue of Liberty on mine and a bunch of people eating pickles.
Mine is mostly normal, just pizza stuff. I don't know. I feel like pizza is easy to understand. Okay, you know what? I say pizza is easy to understand. When I was in Korea many moons ago, they had pizza with like sweet potato crust, and that was weird. So maybe it's not that easy to understand.
Okay,
I don't know if I like this.
This is really weird. I mean, mine's good. It's kind of subtle, but here's the weird thing. When I smelled it, I put my nose in it and smelled it. The first smell that comes out is mustard.
Mustard!
Interesting.
That's not what I was expecting because it doesn't really strongly taste mustard.
Is it mustard forward, but it finishes with a hint of Worcestershire?
Yeah, yes.
Wait, how do you say that sauce?
Worcester?
Rochester.
Worcester? No, you do not.
I don't know.
Worcester?
Worcester, yeah. Worcestershire.
Yeah.
No. No, but there is like a smoky aftertaste at the end of mine, for sure. And I don't think it's the the MSG.
So sometimes I like putting pepper. Sometimes I like putting pepper on my popcorn. That's what this tastes
Interesting
like.
choice.
Oh, okay.
That's what
like
this
a peppery
tastes like.
popcorn.
Huh. Mine does have like a hint of a spice there in it. But it mostly, it just feels like I dipped my popcorn in pasta sauce, like a marinara sauce. But it's not wet. But
Does
that's
it make you want to talk like a these?
no, because I'm not racist. Patrick.
Yeah, jeez, Patrick.
I just got canceled so hard by Italians.
Yeah, now why don't you talk with a New York accent? No, don't. Please don't.
Hey,
They'll be like, I'm walking over here.
I'm walking here.
I mean, mine's good.
I like mine too a lot, actually.
Yeah, it's not overpowering. Like some seasoned popcorns can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely, this is an ongoing trait though I've noticed with HBAF is that there's a lot of sugar in a lot of their product. You can taste the sweetness.
Sweet.
Does yours taste sweet?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I can see it.
So, yeah, there's something about it, and I don't know if it's just regular sugar, which mine is the fifth ingredient. But I've noticed with their nuts and with their other products there's a lot of sugar. So maybe they know the American palate.
I don't think they have to disclose the sugar on Korean nutrition facts, but it's clearly disclosed on the American ones.
My bag
20
has,
grams of sugar.
Yeah, my bag
Good
has
Lord.
21 grams.
Must be why I'm smashing it right now.
I've already had my serving of popcorn today, actually. So.
I'm gonna eat after this.
Yeah.
I wish mine was better. I'm gonna give mine a 3 out of 5. I'm not like big on popcorn generally, anyways. So that's already like not gonna go above a 4. I don't know what I expected.
Bias.
You don't like
I don't
popcorn.
know what I... No, I didn't say I don't like popcorn. I'm just not big on popcorn. I was like never going to get a 5.
Sounds like bias to me.
It's just literally what the show is.
Popcorn
this part of the show
bias.
is just like, give me your bias. I would just say that I wanted it to be different than it is. I can't explain what that difference is. More bready, maybe? like garlic bready along with the pasta
Sure.
sauce.
A garlic butter
get that.
popcorn.
Yeah,
That
like
might
garlic.
actually be really
yeah,
good.
I don't know, like
If
something
they
like
have
that for like a proper pizza, you know. But yeah, so, I mean, it's fine. Whatever.
I'm giving mine a 4.5. Pretty good. Liked it a lot.
What would you change to make it a full 5?
I don't know.
Pepper,
No, it's got the right amount
actual
of that.
spice.
Maybe. No, I don't know if I want it that spicy.
Is yours savory at all?
Not really. It's the sweetness, like that sugar. Maybe a little less sweet would bring it up.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I just had to take another bite of mine just to get a full.
To really
just
get
to
the
make sure
popcorn of the corn.
my accurate rating here. I agree. I mean, I like the sugar because it kind of glazes it a little bit, so it makes it crunchier. Maybe that's one of the reasons why, but it also cuts the seasoning of the mine specific flavor, which is the burger or mustard burger kind of flavoring to it. Yeah, I would say mine's about a 4. I'll give mine a 4 because everything I like about it is it's crunchy, it's fresh, it's different. I like the packaging.
By fresh, it means not expired.
It's not overpowering as far as like some of the fake. Not that I've had a whole lot of fake New York cheeseburger flavors, but
Can somebody call in and tell me what a New York cheeseburger is, please?
Somebody from New York, preferably.
No, you don't.
But I
you
like
can be
it.
from anywhere.
It's true.
Might be lying.
I'm not a geographist. I'm not a geographicist on the show. I am in real life though, so I will judge where you're from.
Oh,
It's not on the show, though.
But not on the show. No, the show is a safe
If
space.
you leave it on a voicemail or send an email,
The show is always a safe space.
but yeah, no, I like it. It's good. I don't know. I'm curious on trying your 2 flavors now, so maybe I'll look for them next time I'm at the store.
well,
I'm just
I
gonna
think
say
if you
pass on mine.
balance it out, sounds like these HBAF popcorns are just okay.
They are
That's a
not
good one.
horrible.
No?
Strong
I'm calling
ratings.
it HBAF.
Yeah,
HBAF.
as you should.
I've been thinking about a different way ever since you
HBAF.
continue to call it HBAF. I'm like, we gotta
healthy. Well, the funny thing is, I used to think HBAF stood for something else. So,
Hot
but
body
I think it's
AF.
hot body, yeah. Hot boy, hot biscuit, hot banana.
just stop.
I don't know why it has to be hot.
Holy birch and fir. It's a tree company.
Horace Baxter's actual fate.
Horace Baxter?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the guy I picture to have invented this snack.
All right. We should wrap
goodness.
up. Patrick, see us out of here.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to catch up with anything that we are doing at all for any reason, you can do so at janchishow.com. You can catch new episodes of the show twice a month, I think. Sometimes on Wednesdays. I think generally on Wednesdays when it comes out on every platform, wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, tell a friend. That's the best way you can support the show, is just share it with somebody you think would be impacted in a beneficial way. That would be great. I think that's it. We all have our own individual stuff that we do, so I think we're going to shout that out real fast. I am at Patrick in the World on Instagram individually, and I host another show called Conversation Piece. We got a lot of cool stuff happening over there, so check that out.
I'm at KJ Roelke, wherever I want to be found on the internet. And I'm also doing that dad thing, so I'm really not on the internet that much.
Don't find me.
Yeah, don't find me. I am N No Walk on Instagram and still on Facebook. But
Still there.
still there.
Nathan
still
loves
there.
the Zuck. It's his
No,
fatal
no,
flaw.
not
Literally
really.
about to make a Zuck comment.
I'm not really gonna say. I'd like to switch over.
Not going to comment on my relationship with Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I'd like
Honestly, the fact
to.
you have a
I'd
relationship
like
with
to.
Mark Zuckerberg is
I'd
impressive.
like to see what Blue Sky looks like, but I just
It
don't
looks like
have
Twitter.
the capacity right now to start a new
That's right.
platform. I am also with Con, so I'm pretty much doing Con stuff all the time. So
Tap in with Nathan and Con, July. June.
June.
Just kidding.
20.
Oh, coming up soon. Nice.
June
I think
20.
for some reason, probably because of the earlier bit about talking about religion in the show, when you said "I am with," my first thought was "I am with child." I was like, "Did you already have childs?"
Congrats.
Wait, what?
When I was saying I was with them.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me. Because everything's about me. To bring it all full circle.
Yeah.
Me. Thank you for tuning in to Patrick and the Janchi Boys.
Until
the
next
dictator
time.
of the show. Until
Janchi
next time.
Heyo.
Later.